Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Junior, Ira, Darlene, how's everybody doing? Tammy. I always hope everybody's having a good day. And anytime I try to put anything out in a video, I want it to be a positive message. And so I try to say things in a very simple manner. And in regards to the story of David and Goliath, I think there's an important point that a lot of people miss in that message. And so if we think back to David and Goliath, David is this little boy, literally, that after a period of time of Saul's army going to battle, one man at a time, it was a daily one-man battle, go up against Goliath, and if you defeat Goliath, then it's the next step. Well, during these trials and tribulations of defeat, David steps up and says, I'll beat him. Now, David didn't step up with a sword, and this was one of the things that was obviously one of their faults in trying to fight somebody in such a giant stature in a one-on-one combat. And so the thing with David was he wasn't going into it as a one-on-one combat with that social distance being so close. He used social distance to his advantage. Do you hear me now? And see, the effect was that here is this giant boasting of all of his wins. And he's defeated by a weapon that he wasn't familiar with, and therefore couldn't defend himself or fend for himself against it, because he had no knowledge of it, didn't know its effects, therefore didn't even realize he had to fend it, merely thinking it's just a little pebble, what's that pebble going to do, not knowing the concept behind the velocity of such a little pebble as compared to the velocity of this huge sword that he's swinging in close quarter combats. So the lesson that we learned from David and Goliath is not so much the fact that David was this hero in this sense that he beat this Goliath through brute force, but through a knowledge of a weapon that he brought to the battlefield that the opponent couldn't fend. And this is important to understand in the concept of these courts that we have today, because they cannot come in with admiralty claims. They can only come in with the merchant claim of a contract. And so the weapon that we need to learn to use to defeat them in these courts is learning how to come at them with the admiralty part of being able to clarify exactly what crime it is that they're committing in this jurisdiction that allows me to assert the inherent right of convening members of that society and saying, And This is important to realize also that singularly, we have this same kind of power. We have this same kind of power through that very diversity that we see around us. And that diversity often comes from adversity of being oppressed in the same kind of ways. See, anytime somebody wants to put something in front of the word lives, like as in what we're currently seeing now as Black Lives Matter, I'm always asking, why are they putting this in front of the lives? Lives, particularly Black lives in this instance, matters. That would be a much more acceptable concept. But to put it Black Lives Matter tells me that there's something backwards, folks. Just like when I read the Second Amendment, and everybody is always talking about that Second Amendment and how willing they are to stand up and assert that Second Amendment right to bear arms. When again, I insist, everything is backwards. And they've got you believing that you have the right to bear arms by picking up a weapon to resolve your problems. When in fact, you have a true right, an inherent responsibility first and foremost, particularly if you're following love thy neighbor as thyself, to go to your brother in private and speak peacefully. And that is in order to go to your armorial bearings, your moral bearings, that which is right, not that which this system, which is legislated through a corporate oligarchy for a commercial system of financial debt instruments, to be able to assert some kind of taxation for their supposed involvement in being able to delegate the responsibilities that us two took upon in our own private agreement. I don't need their delegation of authority. Period. So again, I don't assert a Second Amendment right to bear arms. That is something you can enumerate that way all you want. But if you're going to enumerate it in the way I would enumerate it, it would first be the priority duty to every man who thinks they have any right to remember to love thy neighbor as thyself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That is the only possible way you could convince others that you have a right to travel, is by showing them that they too have that same right. How can you profess that you have a right by negating it for somebody else? You can't. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to negate that you have these rights when you do. And all you have to do is take the responsibility. You want that power? You want that power to be able to defeat your enemy? Then pick up the weapon they can't use. Truth. Pure and simple. And again, the only way you're going to learn the truth is by doing your own research. Don't sit there and believe me. Don't believe a lawyer. Go ahead and keep hiring those lawyers, and go ahead and keep listening to them until you get it if you need to. But eventually I would hope there would come a day where you wouldn't hire a lawyer and you would learn enough of this so you could actually fend for yourself instead of stepping up and letting somebody else defend, take away your ability to fend for yourself, which you do voluntarily by consent. This is literally what they mean by all these people in jail and prison. They're there by consent. You're consenting to allow them to take care of those duties and fight the battle for you. And guess what, folks? They're going to fight the battle without fighting. Just like I just mentioned earlier, to defeat your opponent without fighting is of supreme excellence. So they're both going to be standing there supreme, both getting paid, and the community both looks up to both of them. Yeah, the prosecutor and the defender. The defender did a good job. The fuck he did. Excuse my language. But it's all by your own consent. And it's all contract. And that's why I say if you realize through your study and research how much everything is contract, and it depends on that signature. The signature is what securitizes everything. If you're the one securitizing everything, aren't you the one in control of the contract? If you're in control of the contract, shouldn't you know how to contract? If you don't know how to contract, shouldn't you give up control of contracting by quit signing? That's what I did. So, anyway, I just wanted to put a quick little short video out there, kind of help people comprehend one of the things that we need to start taking out of that story of David and Goliath, is that we need to start using a new weapon against these people. If you want to keep filing the motions and this and that, they tell you to file through this application or that application, you're not understanding how it's applying to you. And that's through your own consent. Quit applying. Quit volunteering. That census paper says you got to fill this out by law. Show me this motherfucking law. Because I'll show you the law that it states. And it's in the D.C. Code. District Code. District Code of Columbia. And it coincides with the Census Code in the United States Code. See, I've done my research, and I can point exactly to what you're talking about in regards to this law. And again, it's only talking about corporate persons. So no, it doesn't apply to myself. That's the weapon, people. Truth. Truth. See, they got this set of facts that says, well, this is true, and then this is true, and then this is true, and then this is true, and they got people believing that all these little sections, if you put them together, it looks like a circle. Yeah, it might look like a circle, but it ain't a circle because it's incomplete. It is not complete. And therefore, we bring facts to the surface of the record to fill in the gaps, to give closure to what the truth really is. That is the weapon. They will never give you a complete record. Fill out a Freedom of Information Act. Find out if they give you the complete record of what you're looking for. Write to a creditor and tell them you need this information. You need all the information validated, and see what they send you. See if they don't send you an accounting that they purchased from somebody else without completing the full record of all persons named as creditors at all stages of these transactions involving this person. They can't, because it's going to have to go all the way back to, guess what, folks? The document that sits at the county registrar that cocksucker signed, certifying it, changing it from a document to an instrument, the original jurisdiction. The financing statement to the birth certificate itself, to the certificate of live birth, to the social security number, to the driver's license. It's all connected to the one statement that was transferred from the hospital to the county registrar. And they have to keep record of it there. That's the original statement that went from a document to an instrument. That's where they morphed it. They took the abstract information and put it in form of their titling, of their symbolization. And when you learn the truth of that fraud itself, and learn how to go back to in beginning was word, and realize that defendant, I'm going to say this one again, Defendant is an abstract noun. That means it's a complete fiction. And how do we know that? Because it's got terms and it's got conditions placed upon it, a root word, that change the terms of the root word. The root word being fend. Every being, every live being. I don't care if it's black. I don't care if it's human. I don't care if it's bovine. I don't care if it's canine. I don't care if it's feline. I don't care if it's serpentine. I don't care anything. All life has a right to life. Period. That's the simplest we can break anything down. And to take anything away from that, in my sense, the way I see things now, it would be to take away from my own self. Why would I do that? And why would I want to do that? I'm supposed to be doing good works. That's what I get paid for. That's the abundance. I'm already paid in abundance. It's already here. I don't have to ask. I don't have to want. And so when we take that word fend and we realize that we can fend for ourselves with what's already given, and we put on a condition known as a prefix that says D, meaning to take away. Excuse me, I don't know that anybody's taken away my ability to fend for myself yet today. Your proposition is rebutted. Your proposition, whatever you propose, or whatever you prepose, I don't live by ifs. I don't live in the future. Whatever you propose isn't what really is, and so I don't know what to tell you. And then when we turn around, we add that other condition on there known as a suffix, meaning that it's a verb, that it's an action that's already taken place. It is now past tense. We now have a defendant being an abstract noun, and it is placed above the next noun, which is what's known as a proper noun. And both of those are different on the same paper, showing two different identities. And you're proposing that is myself as well? Are you a babbling idiot? Do I need to get an English major and put them on the stand and have them give you their professional opinion as to what the term defendant really is? See, presence of the body cures the error in the name. Knowledge within the mind of that body helps cure a lot of other elements. So learn how to use that weapon of truth. It's the only weapon you're going to be able to use to beat their lies. It's a balance. The yin and the yang. The matriarch, the patriarch. The up, the down, the in, the out, the right, the left. You got to learn it. Otherwise, you're just going to be floating aimlessly in that sea of commerce, complaining that I got rights. How come ain't nobody listening to me? Quit whining about your rights and learn your responsibility. Learn your responsibility to be able to fend for yourself by using the right weapon. And the only way you're going to learn to use that right weapon is to learn the truth. And like I said, don't believe me, don't believe the government, don't believe your neighbor. Do your research. Listen to me, listen to what other people are saying. Use whatever you need to use in accordance to what's more priority, what holds a greater priority in your life. There was a time back in my videos I was talking a lot about travel rights, and I spoke about that. And so if you're having an issue with that, it's not so much maybe a matter of watching my videos now, but maybe going back and doing some research and finding out who I really am and how much I really do know, so that you know that what you're listening to now is more likely something logical and rational that you can have faith and build upon. We can only keep what we have by giving it away. And I'm not going to give you some bullshit. So, anyway, again, I just wanted to make a quick short video to help people comprehend what we can get out of that lesson of David and Goliath, and realize that we need to quit messing with these courts. We need to get down to business and realize it is as simple as the administrative process. If they're not starting the administrative process with a true affidavit statement that can be certified and testified to, then they ain't got squat. So guess what? You take what they're offering you as evidence of their dishonor. They're coming with dishonor to begin with. Now you take that and you come back at them with an admiralty cross-claim with consent for commercial lien. They're trying to enforce some kind of commercial action. The only way I have an equity to assess any kind of harm and damage is to provide for a consent to commercial lien, to provide that very liability that they're telling me I owe them. Where is that liability actually coming from? Show me on your record where you've suffered loss. You can't do it. They will not provide an affidavit saying they have lost, because they are merely seeking revenue through fines, fees, penalties, court costs, surcharges, taxes, levies, and all that. They can't say that they've already been harmed. They can only claim that you violated one of the codes, and therefore they have to assess the fine, fee, and penalty. The assessment comes through arbitration. You come in from admiralty law for the true correct position of arbitration. Bring in that private third party. Let's talk. But let's make sure we fill in all the gaps. We come to complete closure. Settle this shit for now and ever. I am not your damn debtor. How dare you ever use my name in your public usage. So anyway, that's your power. Learn it. You can only do it yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can do this for you. But remember, folks, I've got other forums. I will post the links to that, as well as my PayPal link. Anybody that feels generous, wants to send me some love, I always appreciate it. And when I get done here, I'll be sharing the video with those links. And remember, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. I can only keep what I have by giving it away, so I've got to give it away. That's my purpose. The purpose behind doing all this research is so I can put it out there in the best sense that I can relate it to. And that's why I hope you listen to that story of David and Goliath and realize that he didn't beat Goliath because he used brute strength. He used a weapon that Goliath wasn't used to. He had no way to fend for himself. That's what these people are doing. They're using the language against you, and you have no way to fend for yourself. Learn the language, get back to the roots, and realize only you can do it. You're the one that's been taught wrong. You've got to unlearn it and relearn it. So in the meantime, God bless y'all. I love you. Have a good night.